Tampa won the division last year. Alex, I thought they're going to be the worst team in the NFL last year. So shows how much I know. But not a lot of roster turnover. They help out the offensive line. They signed Ben Bredesen. They draft the best center in the NFL draft as well.
Yep.
They bring back Jordan Whitehead after a few years in New York with the Jets. They signed Randy Gregory to help on the outside. They lose Carlton Davis out of their secondary. I don't know how big of a loss at this point of Carlton Davis's career that is. They lose Devin White. I always thought Devin White was a little bit overvalued, even though he was overshadowed by Levante David, who they brought back on a one-year contract. You know, this is a team for Tampa, Alex, where you look at the awards, and we apologize for Todd Bowles' 50-1 being not a doctor's eye chart in the bottom right, but that's what it is on the Coach of the Year. Evans 80-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year. Baker, like a lot of quarterbacks in this division other than Kirk Cousins, astronomically long to win the MVP at 150-1. Tampa kind of feels stuck to me between their floor isn't that low, where their floor is probably 6 or 7, but I don't think their ceiling goes higher than 9 wins for me. Kind of stuck in that range.
I don't hate that at all. My ceiling's a little bit higher just
Maybe
in
an extra
regards
win.
to how they did last year, bringing most of their pieces back. Todd Bowles, in his second year, he was just one of 2 head coaches to win a division in the first year as a head coach or win the NFC South title, joining Gruden to do that in his first year. So very impressive. And you could just tell that they meshed well. All his pieces, Baker Mayfield and his cast there with Mike Evans and Godwin. So I do like them. I'm not going over the win total. That's not the best bet, I don't think. I mean, maybe looking at plus money to even win this division, or even that Todd Bowles Coach of the Year, because if they do win the division after Atlanta gets Kirk Cousins, really dives in, changes up. I mean, there's higher hopes for this division, I believe. So I think if he could win it on back-to-back, maybe he could win that award.
You know, I just wonder if he runs into that situation of, let's say Tampa, you can put the schedule up, Sean. Let's say Tampa wins the division at 9-8, 10-7.
Right.
Going to be probably hard for Bowles to win that Coach of the Year. Now you look at the schedule here. Favored week 1 at home against Sean's Washington Commanders. They play a playoff rematch against Detroit on the road week 2. But week 3 they play Denver, who we'll get to next week, who I'll just say a little eye into the future. Denver's my lowest power-rated AFC team. So they have 2 weaker teams the first 3 weeks. So a good start is in play here. They also get a playoff rematch with Philadelphia in week 4 at home. So
Revenge.
Well, that would be the Philly revenge.
That's right.
So look, this is at least a start where, all right, they could go 2-1. We always have to remember, and Vinny has brought this up, and we'll see Vinny in a little bit as well. Always know which what your standings related scheduling portion of the schedule is. Tampa has to play a first place schedule this year.
Right.
Where last year they played a first place schedule, but the way that it broke down, it actually ended up being okay. This year, that first place schedule adds a primetime game at home against Baltimore, which is not the greatest of draws. let's be honest with ourselves. It's not a good draw. It adds that game against Detroit, good luck, on the road, and it adds the 49ers. So they drew, in their 3 extra games, possibly the 3 worst teams they possibly could have drawn. Oh, and by the way, they already play at Kansas City as it is anyway because they play the AFC West. So pretty brutal draw, all things considered, in those 3 games where, Alex, even if we go of, hey, maybe there's some regression for these teams, talking high win totals, double-digit win totals on all 3 of those first-place teams, including the highest win total on the board in the San Francisco 49ers.
That's true. It is very tough. And looking at those big matchups, you have to take those into consideration. I mean, maybe another way to look at this, I was thinking, looking at Baker Mayfield's passing yards over, because this is a team that does pass a lot more than run, and they need to get their run game going this year. That was one of their biggest problems because their defense was really good, 4th in opponent yards per game, but offensively, not great, right? Not very explosive. 20% of their drives resulted in touchdowns. 18th in points per game. Yeah, that's okay right there in the middle, but 31st in rushing yards per game. But they were 12th in passing yards per game. So I do want to try and find a Baker Mayfield passing yards over, or maybe a Mike Evans receiving.
Well, not only that, if you're trailing more games, you're just going to throw more also. So I actually don't mind that angle at all. You bring up Baker. I mean, that is really the question mark here. Baker was genuinely good for a good chunk of the year last year. What version of Baker are we getting? Are we getting the version we got last year, or are we getting at the end of Cleveland, or the guy who played on 2 teams 2 years ago, who had to save his career the last month with the Rams?
Right.
Like, which version of Baker are we getting here? That more so than anything is why I don't have Tampa winning this division. That's why I think they're probably. I actually think that 8 is pretty fair. I think 8-9, 7-10 is probably the right record for this Bucs team because that defense is good. But I just playing a more difficult schedule. I just have a hard time seeing Baker being able to replicate what he did a year ago. That's my holdup here with the Bucs.
I'm taking a gamble because I think he looked the most comfortable that he has looked since being in the league here. So a lot of it, your success depends on where you end up. Maybe this is the right spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's between that and the year that Cleveland made the playoff, the 2020 year. Those are without a doubt his 2 best seasons. Everything else, there's a significant gap.
Yes.
But besides last year and then 2020 year, you know, and the one other factor actually that neither of us have mentioned, and I think we got to bring it up. Dave Canales is gone. Dave Canales is now, we mentioned him earlier in the week, now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. And I just wonder where you lose a guy who clearly had a big impact on Baker going into last year and throughout last year. I just wonder, and Liam Cohen is the new offensive coordinator and play caller. I just wonder, does Baker take a step back because of his coaching? That's the other.
It's a fair point.
That I would look at as well. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles.
And I'm Alex White. Thank you for watching this clip of Sports by the Book. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe.
We live stream the show right here every day on this channel. Also, you can catch the podcast version on your favorite podcast platform.
All the links are in the description below. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.